Urban Legends from Around the World, Episode 3, The Slender Man. Hello everyone, and welcome to the third episode of our series on urban legends from around the world. Today, we'll dive into the eerie and mysterious legend of the Slender Man. This figure has haunted the internet and our imaginations for years, spawning countless stories, games, and even real-life incidents. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be spooked by this haunting tale. Urban legends are a fascinating part of modern folklore. They are stories passed down through generations, often containing a mix of truth, fiction, and moral lessons. These tales capture our imagination, playing on our fears and the unknown. In this series, we will explore some of the most intriguing and spine-chilling urban legends from around the world. Our journey continues with the enigmatic tale of the Slender Man. Chapter 1: The Origin of the Slender Man. The Slender Man, often depicted as a tall, faceless figure in a black suit, is a relatively recent addition to the pantheon of urban legends. His origins can be traced back to the internet forum Something Awful, where he was created by user Eric Knudsen, under the pseudonym Victor Surge, as part of a Photoshop contest in 2009. The challenge was to create paranormal images, and Knudsen's submission, featuring a tall, shadowy figure lurking in the background of old photos, captured the public's imagination. However, the Slender Man quickly transcended his digital origins, becoming a viral sensation and entering the realm of folklore. Stories and videos about encounters with the Slender Man began to proliferate across the internet, and soon, he was as much a part of the urban legend landscape as Bloody Mary or the Vanishing Hitchhiker. Chapter 2: The Legend Spreads. As the legend of the Slender Man spread, so did the stories of his malevolent presence. He was said to target children and young adults, stalking them relentlessly. His motives were unclear, but his presence was always ominous. Those who encountered him reported feeling a deep sense of dread, and some claimed that the Slender Man could control their thoughts and actions. One of the most famous stories involves a group of children who went missing in a small town. According to local legend, they were last seen playing near the woods, where the Slender Man was said to reside. The search for the missing children turned up no clues, but eerie drawings of a tall, faceless man began to appear around town, leading many to believe that the Slender Man had taken them. Chapter 3: The Dare. Our story begins with a group of friends who decide to investigate the legend of the Slender Man. It was a warm summer evening, and the group had gathered at Tom's house for a sleepover. They were sitting around a campfire in the backyard, sharing scary stories, when Tom's younger sister, Emily, mentioned the Slender Man. "I dare you to go into the woods and find the Slender Man," Emily said, her eyes wide with excitement. Tom rolled his eyes. "There's no such thing as the Slender Man," he said. "It's just a made-up story." But Emily was insistent. "If you're so sure, then it shouldn't be a problem, right?" Reluctantly, Tom and his friends agreed to the dare. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, they set off into the woods. The trees loomed overhead, casting long shadows in the fading light. The deeper they went, the quieter it became, until all they could hear was the sound of their own footsteps and the occasional rustle of leaves. Chapter 4: The Encounter. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the air grew colder, and a sense of unease settled over the group. Tom tried to shake off the feeling, but he couldn't help glancing over his shoulder every few seconds. "Do you feel that?" Sarah, one of Tom's friends, whispered. "It's like we're being watched." "Don't be ridiculous," Tom replied, though his voice lacked conviction. They continued on, but the sense of dread only intensified. Suddenly, they heard a soft rustling sound behind them. Tom spun around, shining his flashlight into the darkness, but there was nothing there. "Let's keep moving," he said, trying to sound confident. "We'll just take a quick look and then head back." As they pressed on, the rustling sound grew louder, and the shadows seemed to close in around them. Just as they were about to turn back, Tom's flashlight flickered and went out. He cursed under his breath, fumbling with the switch, but it wouldn't turn back on. "Guys, we need to get out of here," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "Now." But before they could move, a tall, shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. It was the Slender Man, his faceless head tilted slightly as if observing them. The friends froze in terror, unable to move or speak. The Slender Man raised one long, spindly arm, and the world seemed to blur around them. Tom felt a cold hand on his shoulder, and then everything went black. Chapter 5: The Aftermath. Tom awoke to find himself lying on the ground, the morning sun filtering through the trees. His friends were scattered around him, unconscious but unharmed. He shook them awake, and they stumbled back to Tom's house in a daze. Emily was waiting for them, her face pale with worry. "What happened?" she asked, but Tom couldn't find the words to explain. Over the next few days, the group tried to piece together what had happened in the woods, but their memories were fragmented and hazy. They each remembered seeing the Slender Man, but the details were elusive, slipping away like a fading dream. Tom's parents were concerned about the state of their son and his friends, but they chalked it up to a combination of overactive imaginations and lack of sleep. However, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed them back from the woods. Chapter 6: The Research. Determined to find answers, Tom and his friends began researching the Slender Man. They discovered countless stories and accounts from people who had encountered the entity, each one more terrifying than the last. They learned that the Slender Man had a history of causing people to lose time and memory, and that he often left his victims in a state of confusion and fear. They also came across a theory that the Slender Man was a tulpa, a being created by collective belief and imagination. According to this theory, the more people believed in the Slender Man, the stronger and more real he became. The group realized that their own fear and belief in the Slender Man might have given him power over them. They decided that the only way to protect themselves was to confront their fear and stop feeding the legend. Chapter 7: The Plan. Tom and his friends devised a plan to confront the Slender Man and put an end to his influence over them. They would return to the woods, armed with knowledge and a new sense of determination. They believed that by facing their fear head-on, they could weaken the Slender Man's power and break his hold on them. The night of the confrontation, the group gathered once again at Tom's house. They brought flashlights, cameras, and a digital recorder, hoping to capture any evidence of the Slender Man's presence. With a mixture of fear and resolve, they set off into the woods. As they walked, Tom couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. The trees looked the same, and the shadows seemed to move in the same eerie way. But this time, he was determined not to let fear control him. Chapter 8: The Confrontation. When they reached the heart of the woods, the air grew cold, and the sense of unease returned. Tom turned on the digital recorder and began speaking into it. "We're here to confront the Slender Man," he said, his voice steady. We know you're real, and we're not afraid of you anymore." The woods were silent for a moment, and then the rustling sound began again. The friends huddled together, their flashlights scanning the darkness. Suddenly, the Slender Man appeared, his tall, shadowy figure looming over them. Tom stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. "We're not afraid of you," he repeated. "You have no power over us." The Slender Man seemed to hesitate, as if confused by their lack of fear. He raised one arm, and the world blurred again, but this time, Tom and his friends were ready. They focused on their determination, refusing to let fear take hold. The Slender Man's figure began to waver, and then he disappeared, dissolving into the shadows. The woods grew silent once more, and the air warmed up. Tom turned off the recorder, a sense of relief washing over him. Chapter 9: The Evidence. Back at Tom's house, the group reviewed the footage and recordings. To their surprise, the digital recorder had captured a faint, distorted voice saying, "I will return." The footage showed the Slender Man's figure briefly appearing before vanishing into thin air. While the evidence was unsettling, it also confirmed that they had faced the Slender Man and survived. They knew that the legend might never truly go away, but they had taken the first step in breaking his hold on them. Chapter 10: Moving On. In the days that followed, Tom and his friends felt a sense of closure. The strange occurrences stopped, and they no longer felt the presence of the Slender Man. They knew that the legend would continue to exist, but they had learned the importance of confronting their fears and not letting the unknown control them. The experience brought the group closer together, and they continued to share their story, warning others about the dangers of feeding into urban legends. They understood that while some stories were just that, stories, others had the power to affect reality in ways they could never have imagined. As they moved forward with their lives, they carried the memory of that night in the woods with them. They knew that some legends were more than just tales, and that the line between the supernatural and reality was thinner than they had ever realized. Urban legends like the Slender Man tap into our primal fears and our fascination with the supernatural. They remind us that there are still mysteries in the world that cannot be easily explained. As we continue this series, we'll delve deeper into other chilling tales from different parts of the globe, each one more terrifying and intriguing than the last. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of urban legends. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we explore another spine-tingling tale. And remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that could be true.